Perfect. Thank you. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are Columbia IntFic, and it is an honor and a privilege to be presenting before you at the Global Columbia Collaboratory Symposium today. As the pandemic has destabilized our sense of normalcy and confined us within our homes, countries around the world have turned inwards and become more insular. When the members of Columbia IntFic, 13 writers, programmers, and artists from 9 different countries and territories met through the GCC, we converged on the idea of capturing our respective global communities' struggles during the pandemic to cultivate a sense of cross-cultural empathy. And that's how What If was born. A collection of short interactive stories about the different kinds of lives being lived around the world during the pandemic. In a time when we all feel more disconnected from each other than ever, What If aims to connect its audiences with each other through stories. Stories of how the pandemic, despite being a globally shared experience, has touched us all in different ways. Now over to Lauren.
Thank you, Rishi. So what is interactive fiction? Interactive fiction is a form of storytelling that allows the reader to make choices for the protagonist. Adjacent to video games, readers of IF become active participants in the narrative, but the amount of agency varies from story to story. IF has roots going back before computer-based hypertext adventures or parsers and things like choose your own adventure books. So then why interactive fiction? By putting the choice into the hands of the readers, IF can encourage empathy while also providing us a glimpse into the lives of people across the world. During a time when the production of theater, film, and video games is slowed or halted by the pandemic, the medium of IF is available for our team to come together and experiment with something new. IF is also perfectly optimized for an at-home audience, since everything is easily hosted online, and the medium is having something of a renaissance. In 2018, Black Mirror's interactive installment Bandersnatch was storyboarded in Twine, the same program we used to create our stories. Our project has 3 major elements: writing, tech, visuals, along with social media for publicity. Let's start with writing. Our debut series has 4 stories, each set in a different location and touching on different social experiences related to the pandemic. We follow an Asian American healthcare worker, 2 young girls navigating friendship in the pandemic, step into the shoes of an ICU surgeon, and a bystander learning about sexual abuse in South Korea. Though fictionalized, all of our stories are heavily researched, with authors conducting interviews and gathering data and sources during the writing process. Now we'll look at tech. For designing the stories, we used a software called Twine. With this platform, we were able to create the branching layouts for our interactive stories. And we were also able to implement interactive elements in each story. For instance, creating clickable choices, text effects, and narrative loops. Now on to Rishi to talk about web dev.
Absolutely, thank you, Lauren. So I'll be talking a little bit about story development. We used HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to design the website. And to give you a little taste of what an interactive story looks like, let's take a look at one of our stories, Sinead and Louisa. In this story, the reader experiences the story of 2 teenage girls, one in Ireland and one in Louisiana, as they adjust to 2020's new normal. We're greeted by a splash screen, which you click on to continue. Now, we wanted to make the reader experience the story by reading through email correspondence between the 2 girls. So in the story, we have emulated the desktops of the 2 different girls and an email software right in the middle where the story takes place. Right now, we're on Louisa's desktop. In the background, as we see her homework files, her art portfolio, her prom playlist, we get a sense of her character. Let's click begin. A notification pops up. We've received an email from Sinead. The story begins. Let's click open. Now we can read the email from Sinead where she talks about how the pandemic is beginning to change her world. This experience is much like reading a novel with the exception of clickable elements, as you can see highlighted in blue all over. So for example, if we click on school, we get to see a vivid GIF of Sinead's school. Through this, we have intended to create a vivid sense of time and place throughout the story. And the story is littered with exciting interactive elements from GIFs to photos to sounds. And you can experience it right after the symposium on our website. Now over to Celia to discuss visuals.
Thank you, Rishi. The visual team spans multiple artistic disciplines using various software and tools, including but not limited to traditional painting/drawing, illustration, graphic design, photography, videography, and more. The story A Double Front employs clean, simplistic illustrations of queens and light-conscious design. The story Sinead and Louisa employs energetic imagery, saturated photography, and audio to give us a glimpse into the two girls' lives. The story I See You uses clean lines in contrast with more hand-drawn ink for human subjects, coupled with blue watercolor swatches, illustrations, and hand-drawn animation. The story From Bystanders to Activists, Responses to Digital Sex Crimes in South Korea employs rough application of traditional drawing mediums such as markers and charcoal pencils. The following are our primary and secondary palettes, logos, and typography taken from the branding guide we've created. Through this branding guide, we want to convey a friendly and approachable but self-aware voice as a student nonprofit organization, a sense of carefully and meticulously cultivatedness as a brand, and the modern and globalized medium of interactive fiction that's also respectful and aware of cultural norms. Finally, handing it off to Lauren.
Thank you, Celia. Columbia IntFic has been hard at work these past few months in preparation for our fall series, which launched last week. With its emphasis on suspense and mystery, our wonderful social media team created visually appealing spreads, and we encourage you to check it out on Facebook and Instagram, as well as to join our mailing list if you're interested in joining the team. At this time, we'd like to invite everyone to visit our website, columbiaintfic.com. Be sure to visit from a computer, preferably using Google Chrome, for the best experience. We hope you follow our journey as we continue to create stories, acting as a long-term home for many more narratives. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, this is amazing. And thank you so much to the team for your dynamic presentation. I'd like to turn it over to